Thanks for being with us, Max. Am I crazy, or is the West trying to downplay this deal just a little bit?
Well, Anissa, what we're seeing here is a transition from the petro-dollar to the petro-ruble. So for decades now, the price of oil and gas has been priced in U.S. dollars. With this $400 billion deal with China, we now see a shift of the pricing in energy going toward Russia and China. This means the U.S. dollar as world reserve currency, its days are numbered. And this is also manifest in the actions by Russia this past month to almost quadruple their purchase of gold. So Russia's been buying gold every month for several years. They have now quadrupled that monthly purchase because they're getting ready for the time when the U.S. dollar starts to rapidly lose value against other currencies. Gold will start to be marked up aggressively. So both China and Russia have been buying gold. They're now going to price energy in something other than the U.S. dollar. So this is really the dawn of the petro-ruble.
They couldn't agree, Moscow and Beijing, on a price for a really long time, and it's still a so-called commercial secret. Why?
Can you repeat the question?
They're calling it a commercial secret, the actual precise price of this gas flowing to China. It's a big deal, of course, but why can't we know the exact price? What does that mean between for China and Russia, how close they are, how maybe they don't want to release that to the West? I mean, is this a protocol?
Well, the price that they negotiated, whether I think Russia was looking for $400 per 1,000 cubic meters. Russia is looking for $360 per 1,000 cubic meters. So there was some last-minute haggling over price. It's a multi-year deal. It's China's got to pay whether they take delivery of the gas or not. I think more importantly, though, above and beyond the details of this specific deal, Elisa, is the fact that on a macroeconomic basis, the U.S. dollar is now poised to lose its status as world reserve currency. This is extraordinarily important in the post-war era, where the U.S. has used the dollar as a bludgeon to increase its global hegemony, to buy stuff from China and never pay for it. They just issue more dollars. Once the dollar loses its place as world reserve currency, the price of energy in America will double and triple. That's the underlying economic assumption that we have to make here. That's what the U.S. is not telling the people in the U.S. Plus, let me point out another very interesting fact that came out today. All the fracking that's going on in California, 2/3 of America's fracking, and remember, fracking is going to be their answer to this deal between Russia and China to supply them with energy. Well, it turns out, according to today's report, that the estimate of the amount of gas that California will generate through its fracking fields has been overstated by 96%. Which is to say that America's fracking industry is dead on arrival. There's not going to be any gas from America's fracking industry. China and Russia are now going to completely monopolize the global gas industry, and they're going to price it in something other than U.S. dollars. Whether they're haggling over $360 or $400 per 1,000 cubic meters is irrelevant, given the bigger picture.
Just briefly, Max, what option does the United States have?
What options do they have? Their options for the last few decades has been to bomb and take. That's been their options. That's been the Americans' oil policy, has been to use the Pentagon and the dollar as instruments of global hegemony to secure the world's oil supply. You see this happening in Africa, where the U.S. is busy creating all kinds of mischief in Africa to secure oil, where their competitor China is in Africa just cutting deals or cutting checks. And of course, China's got trillions of dollars worth of reserves, and they can write lots of checks. So the U.S., what the recourse for the U.S. is, I'd say their recourse is nothing. World reserve currency come and go. Before America had the world reserve currency, it was Great Britain. And before that, different countries took turns, whether it was France, Portugal, Spain, going back to the 1500s. Different countries have had their turn as world reserve currency. Now America has to pass the baton from having the world reserve currency to another country or a group of countries or a consortium of countries. It could be the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which encompasses China, Russia, and Iran. So those three countries are really going to be setting the price going forward. And whoever sets the price is going to make the most money in those commodities. So the U.S. really doesn't have any recourse except to be in denial that's unfortunately, I hate to say it about my own country, but their days as the #1 world reserve currency are now, I would say, done.
Max Kaiser, thanks so much for being in the Now.